Afternoon in America.
Hello.
Happy evening in Europe. Everyone, this is Maestro Paolo Arrivabeni, whose name I absolutely love. And I'm so thrilled to have him with me live. We are going to be talking about all the secrets of Verdi and spilling all the tea for all of you young singers so that we can all learn Verdi correctly. Because it's very difficult. Thank you, Maestro, so much for being here with me.
It's a pleasure.
It has been such a humongous pleasure to do Simone Boccanegra with Maestro Paolo. It's incredible watching him work in rehearsal. Everything is come scritto, as it should be, and it's absolutely amazing, and the orchestra sounds fantastic, so thank you
very
for
much.
all your hard work.
It's a pleasure.
So I wanted to have Maestro here so that we could talk about Verdi, his amazing scores, and his amazing music. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining. So since a lot of my followers are young artists, I would love to know from a conductor's perspective, how should we as singers go about approaching a Verdi score to learn it in the most efficient way possible?
Yes, I think that the first thing, the very important thing, is to avoid any recording.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
Don't really take the score. Try to clean your ears.
Okay.
Take the score and bar by bar look what is written,
Okay.
but with no influence
From the recording.
from recordings, because maybe the recordings is an old recording with different instrumentation or something like that. So take the score. If it's possible, take the critical edition. That is very important. And really try to read not only what is written in the pentagram, in the notes, but which are the markings that Verdi
Those markings.
wrote. For example, Simone Boccanegra, now we are rehearsing Simone Boccanegra. There are many markings of Verdi where he wrote from the first bar of the prologo, tutta questa scena sottovoce. So it means
For the whole orchestra.
for everyone,
For
for
everyone.
the singers, for the orchestra, for the singers, for everyone. Why? Because the first scene, it happens during the night. So there are two people on stage speaking one each other with the other, and they don't want that the other can hear.
Here.
So there is a sort of realismo in Verdi music. So everything is connected to the situation. Verdi was the greatest regista, director of himself. Everything is written.
Everything.
So what I can say to the young singers, avoid to listen recordings. Take the score and with math before, try to assimilate which is the dramaturgy inside what is written in Verdi.
Absolutely.
The voice came down
Right.
after the voice, before reading and understanding what he wrote.
Absolutely. And looking at all of the little details, and there are a ton of little details in the score. Maestro just said at the beginning of the prologue is written tutta questa scena sottovoce. That means the entire scene at half voice, for those of you who might not understand Italian or have that translated yet. Tutta questa scena sottovoce. That means that the singers need to not start on page 3 where their line starts. They need to start on page 1 so that you understand that Verdi wrote that on page 1 and it applies to the entire scene. Love that. That's fantastic. Do you recommend, after the singers have listened, or after the singers have learned the music as written on the page, exactly what he wrote, do you then recommend going to the old recordings and listening to traditions
For
and
sure.
hearing what the conductors have done with the music?
Yes, it's a good idea. But I do, because when I study a new score, before I study the score, and then I have my idea of the score, and then I listen to the other colleagues, what they do, what they did, and maybe I like it, maybe I don't like it. But another very important thing in Verdi, mostly in the last Verdi, so Simon Boccanegra, the first version is 1857. The version that we perform here in Zurich is the last one, is the second one, and is 1881. So is a mature Verdi, is a real Verdi.
Right.
And another thing that is very important for the young singers is just to look at the score, and when you see that there is no orchestra, it doesn't mean that you are free. Because Verdi uses two different words, col canto or recitativo. So it means that col canto is the conductor that has to arrange the line of the singer, but is a little bit free.
Right.
Recitativo is really free.
Right.
But if nothing is written, it doesn't mean that there is the orchestra, I can do what I want. No, no, you can't.
No, you can't.
No, you can't. I'm sorry, you can't. Because there is a rhythm inside the bar, even if there is no orchestra. The orchestra is with the singer, is not under the singer.
Absolutely.
So, this is the architecture of the opera, is made also of silence.
Yes.
And Verdi wrote every silence he wanted.
Absolutely.
So take care of every mark or every sign that Verdi put on the score.
Absolutely. And think about also the orchestra, they're counting those bars of silence. They're not just going, I put my instrument down and I sit and I wait.
No.
They're counting to 4 with you.
Yes.
So you need to count to 4 too.
And another most important thing, a very important thing, is that the musician in the orchestra, they have the text on the score. They play the notes, but before they play, there is written the text that you say in a recitativo. Please don't make a mistake about the text, so no one will play. Because they look at the conductor,
they're listening.
But they listen to the stage,
listening to the singer.
and they wait for that word. So be careful.
Be careful, exactly. So let's talk a little bit about the details, right? You mentioned that there are many details in the score, and I have had so much fun kind of exploring Verdi's details. And I talk about them a lot in master classes because a lot of the little score markings come from bel canto. They come from Rossini, Donizetti, Bellini, and they were being used prior to when Verdi took them and brought them into his writing. A lot of those markings are technical vocal markings. We are not instrumentalists. We don't get to vibrate strings like a violinist. We don't get to make tongue accents like a trumpeter. We have to do the accents and things within our bodies. So all of those markings that you're seeing in Verdi's scores, those are vocal technique markings, and you need to technically know how to do them. So for example, something that Verdi uses a lot is portati.
Yeah.
Can you explain from a conductor's perspective, what does portati mean within Verdi's music?
Yeah, portato is when Verdi wrote a slur between two notes that may be a G and a D. It means that you are allowed to make a portamento, cioè
Exactly.
to bring your voice from the G to the D. But the way for doing this is very important, because if you do too slow, it seems like an airplane landing. And
Perfect.
it's not the best way to
Perfect.
It's better to avoid that. But it means that you can sing the G and at the last moments go up to the D.
Exactly.
But with the elegance, because even in Nabucco, even in Attila, the first operas of the famous opera of Verdi, there is a lot of elegance inside. It was an elegant composer.
Absolutely.
So don't think that everything is allowed because it's Verdi. No.
It's very much based in the bel canto, and it's very classy, it's very technical. That's why they're so difficult. Trovatore is so difficult because it is so based in the bel canto.
The bel canto, the word says that the bel canto, the most important thing is il canto. So the words are not so important. But with Verdi,
the words are...
The words are basically the basic technique of speaking. When Verdi, I saw some letters of Verdi, and he says that is for him the consonant T and R are the most important. So if you have to sing troppo, it should be not troppo, it's troppo.
Troppo, with everything.
Tragedia.
Every consonant.
It doesn't sound, because it's not bel canto, but it's very important for understanding what are you saying, because I know that if you listen to maybe Lucia or Straniera, Bellini, you cannot understand every word, but in Verdi you have to do it.
You have to.
Think of fast stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to understand everything.
It's a comedy, so we have to laugh. We have to understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in Verdi portamento, fast and late.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Bellini, like Donizetti, fast and late. Puccini, boo, you take more time. But Verdi, clean,
not so much
clean,
time.
clean, clean. But a little more than bel canto.
I know, yes.
What about the portati, where we are accenting within the text on one pitch? So if you have the same pitch repeated with a dot over the top and then the slur over the top, which we also call portati, what does that mean to you in Verdi?
It means more pronunciation.
Pronunciation.
When there is a slur and the dot, it means that you have to understand really every note, the text on every note.
Absolutely.
It's not legato. It's
absolutely
portato.
And we as singers have to understand that the portato is a vocal technique exercise that you have to learn how to do. So, for example, there's a section in Boccanegra in Act 1 where Amelia sings this Vieni a mirar la cerula. There are portati everywhere. It's for like 2 pages. He just wanted all of this text. You have to know as a singer how to pulse from your pelvic floor in order to be able to get the accent in the middle of that pitch while not losing the legato. So you can't go Vieni a mirar. It's not a marcato sensation. It's not something where it's broken. You have to be able to keep the line and put the text in the breath. Put the text in the body. So you, in your vocal training, you have to know how to use your pelvic floor within the breath and be able to control the pelvic floor underneath that text, so that when we have those 3 little notes with the 3 dots over the top and the slur, we can do Vieni a mirar while the vibrato continues through and doesn't break in between each of those pitches. Super, super, super important, because it will help you get the text out in those situations. My other favorite Verdi...
May I say something about that? It's like the technique of the bowing with the strings instruments. When it's staccato, it means a note with a dot. The bow jumps on the strings. But when it's portato, as you said before, the bow stays on the string and is only moving in this way. It's not vertical, it's horizontal.
Well, that's how we feel too.
Yes, sure.
We hear this. Yeah.
You have to think that it's the same note with interruption.
Absolutely.
It's only one note, but
one note with more text.
Absolutely.
My other favorite Verdi marking is the upside down triangle. What is that called?
It should be a violent accent.
And in the middle of the note, right? Not at the beginning.
No, at the middle.
In the middle.
Which
also is super hard to do. And what I love is when you get into the 20th century composers, they take that accent from Verdi and they use it all the time. It's all over Benjamin Britten's scores. Any of you sopranos who are on today who sing embroidery, it's the my hand remembered, it's what's good. It's that pickup in the middle, and he uses the Verdi upside down triangle accent.
Yes.
And this accent is taken into modern music, but this accent is also a technical accent. This is a vocal accent that, like Maestro said, if you're a string player, is done very differently. It's done on the string with the bow. But for us, it's done internally in the body through a pull and a pulse of the pelvic floor. It is, and it doesn't disrupt the line of the legato, and it doesn't disrupt your text either. So you have to maintain space for legato and also keep the text coming out, but make that accent in the middle of the pitch. I love thinking about it like that, in the pickup in the middle of the pitch. The other thing that I love in Verdi scores, and you see these more, you see it more in the more bel canto. Well, I mean, obviously I'm looking at the soprano roles, but you see it more in like a Gilda, Violetta, where he chooses to use staccati, like actual staccati, and where he chooses to use legato tenuto. Do you feel that Verdi actually wanted the sopranos to sing the picchiatato staccati, or do you feel he wanted more of a substance through the middle voice when he wrote that?
How old is Gilda?
Oh, young.
So?
Very young. So he wants that, yes, for color, because he is a regista. Yeah, exactly. So he wants the staccato on the bottom.
Think about this line that he wrote for Gilda. You can imagine Filippo II and Don Carlo. Oh. is another situation completely. But Gilda is a young girl.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
She is allowed to do that.
Absolutely.
To do that. Like Louisa Miller.
Louisa Miller. So you feel the staccato, yes?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I knew it.
It's the same.
And what do you think about Leonora Trovatore? Same thing.
Leonora, I think,
especially
is the last. I think that is the last role with the bel canto style, the big role. Because if you think, it's logical that Oscar in Ballo in Maschera is a light soprano, and he has to sing staccato.
Right.
But for the main roles,
no, there's
no. The last one maybe is Leonora.
Yes.
If you think what he wrote, there is another great difference between the first opera of Verdi and the last one. If you see Simon Boccanegra, there are airs, but there are no caballettas.
Yep.
In the first version, there was a caballetta for the soprano, and Verdi wrote, it's horrible, this cabaletta that I wrote. But now, for Simon Boccanegra, Aida, Otello, Falstaff, there are no more caballettas, because the music is not written just aria, caballetta, duetto, terzetto. No, it's only a long line, and there is an arch that it started at the beginning and it's going through until the end. But nothing has to stop.
Nothing stops.
This dramaturgy.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
So thinking about Simon Boccanegra, what are the differences in the Simon Boccanegra score in comparison to sort of everything else in Verdi? Because to me, and learning it from Amelia's perspective, it feels very different. It's it was very different to learn. It was very difficult to learn because Amelia is constantly changing the key. Constantly. Before anybody else joins her in the new key, she's constantly in a new key. That's so hard, especially for this brain who is like, what melody are we in right now? Like, I'm not even thinking about the key. I'm thinking about what notes do I need to plunk to get this learned, right? So it's very from my perspective as Amelia, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
And actually, singing wise, it's a little bit more akin to like an Elisabetta in Don Carlo than it is to Leonora or Louisa Miller or those roles. It's not even like Aida.
No.
It's sort of in the middle.
In the middle.
So from your perspective, what makes it different? What makes Simon Boccanegra different?
Simon Boccanegra, for me, there are some pages that reminds me, for example, the Verdi Requiem. There is the concertato at the end of the first act with the line that starts with the fiesco. I say, this is Verdi Requiem.
Yeah. before. Yeah.
So we see that how Verdi changes every opera. In every opera, the style, the hand is always the same, but the maturity inside of the man, of the musician, changes, and we see in Simone Boccanegra new things,
very new.
Think about what happens the finale, la scena del consiglio, where the choir is off, the choir is off stage and the orchestra is a. It's like with the line is like a piano, but there are strings they have to play, and it's completely new because we hear this choir off stage and the orchestra playing pianissimo in the pit, with the others very agitato on stage. Yeah. So it's completely new. Never wrote. And he did this scene only for the second version. It doesn't exist in the first version.
Oh, that's right. The console chamber is not in the first version. That's right. And the console chamber scene is my favorite part because I get to yell at baritones. Yay! I love that scene so much. And I also feel like the writing in Simone Boccanegra is a little more complicated.
Yeah.
And the harmonic structure of it is a little bit more complicated than what we had previously.
Absolutely.
I feel like so many of Verdi's big duets, big arias, they're so melodic. You leave humming O Patria Mia. You leave humming Celeste Aida. You don't really leave humming anything from Simone Boccanegra. There's not really anything to kind of pull out even and remember. It's almost Wagnerian in the way that it's composed.
I say you that during the gala concerts, sometimes I have to conduct a small piece of Simone Boccanegra. The only one that I did is a tenor aria.
Yes, that's a beautiful aria.
Because, but it's the only one because you cannot sing it. What do you want to sing from Simone Boccanegra in a concert?
No.
Or Fanella?
Yeah, I was going to say maybe the whole duet scene with the father.
Maybe.
But Fanella by itself is not an aria, it's arietta.
But the tenor aria is more conventional.
Yeah, the tenor aria for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
But it's the only one.
Yeah.
It's the only one.
And sadly, Simone doesn't get one.
No.
Paolo has a little aria, the tenor has an aria, I have an aria, and Simone has nothing.
Yeah.
He just sings the whole time.
Yeah.
So, is Boccanegra your favorite Verdi score, or what is your favorite?
For today is
your favorite?
Yeah. For today, yeah, because my favorite score is the score that I am conducting.
Really?
Always, because I have to love it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I have to live with the score.
Yeah.
So I don't think that the next month I have to conduct Butterfly. Okay, I love also Butterfly. Me too. But now my brain, my body, everything is on Simone Boccanegra, and now is the most loved opera for me.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
If you had to choose an old singer who you felt embodied Verdi's music, technique, vocalism, drama, who would that be? Any voice type?
I don't care about the
it's
singers.
For them.
I know, but we have to think.
Who should we listen to, basically?
No, I have to think to the future, not to the past of the opera.
Okay.
So.
But I always tell young singers that it's really important to listen to the old singers, the Italian singers, for the text, for the traditions, for what they were doing and how we got here.
If I have a gun on my head, I can say Freni for
Freni. Yeah.
Freni. Oh my God.
Amazing, Miss Freni. The way she uses the words.
Yeah.
And Tibaldi also for me.
Yes.
The way that they use the text is just so special. Amazing. Guys, I'm going to turn it over to you to ask some questions. So please feel free to put questions in the chat. I have a couple of questions from Instagram DMs from earlier, but please feel free to ask anything that you would like about Verdi's music, about conductors and singers, about rehearsal process, anything that you'd like. So when you conduct a new score, and how many times have you conducted Boccanegra at this point?
This is the fourth production.
Fourth time. Okay, so it's not new.
Not for performances.
Fourth production.
For production.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's not new. So if you have to pick up a score that's brand new to you, you start directly measure by measure, counting it out, or do you look at it as a whole? How do you break it down?
I don't take the score. I take a book and I go to read what Verdi, how Verdi was in that period.
Amazing.
How was with
source material?
Yeah, no. You have to read
historical context.
Well, yeah, you have to read what he wrote before.
Yeah.
Why he wrote this before, and why he was maybe sometimes the editor Ricordi said you have to write another opera, and I said I don't want. You have to do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
So okay, I do it, and you know, the score is just for the notes, but for me it's very important to understand what happened in the life of Verdi in that period. With his wife, with the editor, with the Teatro La Fenice maybe, or La Scala. How was the relationship between him and the colleagues? Mm-hmm. That is very important because you understand the feeling of the composer.
Yeah, yeah.
And to start to approach a new opera, you have to understand in which period, why he did this opera, why he wrote this opera for that theater, not for another one, and then I start with the score. But mainly when I start with a new score, I don't look bar by bar because I have to have a general look of the structure of the opera, and then I start going inside. The program.
Right, and I just also want to emphasize something that Maestro emphasized in rehearsals constantly was the singers need to learn the scores and perform them come scritto, as it is written exactly. So if there's an eighth rest, you wait for an eighth rest and then you come in.
So I didn't say that exactly, but for me, the good base to start is that the singer has to know what is written. Then we can change, but we have to know how it was.
Exactly.
Because for the conductor is like a tailor that make a dress. Everyone needs a dress different because the size is not the same.
Right.
So if the singer knows exactly what is written, but he say, Maestro, I need more space here. Okay, let's speak about that. Because not all the singers are the same.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a machine.
Right.
But I'm not a machine.
No.
And I love the voices, so I have to make music with the voices.
Right.
And I cannot ask to a soprano to do exactly how the same thing that we did with another one, because it's not the same dress.
Exactly, and that's a great way of thinking about it. But you have to learn what's there first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if you want to stretch it and do whatever is good for you, then you can do that.
Okay.
But
you
have to know what's there. And I think also important to know what Maestro said earlier about recitativo in Verdi, come scritto. What he wrote, the rhythms he wrote, the rests he wrote. This is not like Mozart where we're taking out rests to move the sentence together. We're not doing that in Verdi. We're doing what he wrote on the page. And it's so good. It's perfect. Also to talk about the text a little bit, because in Verdi, as you said, the text is so incredibly important. These stories are so incredibly important. And you know, we have source material for pretty much all of the Verdi operas. They're not things that are just kind of like pulled out of thin air and made. There's a lot of source material. There are things based on poetry, short stories, novels. You know, even Rigoletto has a source material. Gualtier Maldet is a person that you should know who he is. You know, these are important things. And the text then is exceptionally important. I once, when I was learning Aida, worked with an incredible Italian coach. Some of you who are online are gonna like put up your hands and hearts. Lucy Tucker Yates. She's amazing Italian coach. And we were looking at Aida's poetry and how Aida speaks to different people. And it's kind of amazing because her poetic couplet and rhythm changes with who she's speaking to, which can suggest that Aida is actually quite smart and speaks various languages. Even though, obviously, Aida is in Italian, she speaks in 3 different types of pentameter, poetic pentameter. And she speaks one way with the Egyptians, one way with Radames, and another way with her father. It's important to know that for your character, and it's important to know that for the text. And so you have to dive into that text as if you were an actor, because all of these things are in those scores. And quite often, because Verdi was such a master writer of vocalism, the line is incredible. If you look and see what exactly is happening in the text, where is the open vowel versus where is the closed vowel? Where is the double consonant versus where is the single consonant? Where is there a phrasal double? Quite often, if you do exactly what is there, the arias are easier to sing. Amazingly, he doesn't give you closed vowels in places where singers actually want open vowels. He uses double consonants to hide shifts between registers all the time, especially in the soprano voice. He will use a double consonant to disguise a shift into chest, like all over every score, so that, because he knows we have a break between E and E flat. He knows that, and so he disguised it. So it's super important in the language also that you are looking and studying these scores and seeing where's the open vowel, where's the closed vowel, where's the double, where's the phrasal double, where's the single consonant, where can I use the accents with this language. It will help you sing it better, I promise you. Does that also go with the orchestra? Is that concept also within the writing of the orchestra in Verdi? If they do exactly what's on the page, it makes it easier for them to play?
Yes, if the material of the orchestra, the score, are completely new, they are lost. So maybe it's better to rehearse and to play on scores that they are not completely new, because someone just put it bowings, markings, and so on and so on. But as I am not so young, I have my material that I sent to the opera house, and I say, please use my one, because I made some choices, musical choices, that I would like to find again on the stands of the orchestra. But mainly the orchestra usually the orchestra follows a lot the conductor in the way of style, dynamic, and so on. So because sometimes more in these moments in this world, we have always less time than before.
Yes, of course.
If we think to the conductors 50, 60 years ago, they have more rehearsal with the orchestra. Now the system is different. We have not so many rehearsals. So we have to concentrate our work, and we have to be clear what we want. If you want a fortissimo, if you want a pianissimo and you move like a crazy man, they cannot play pianissimo.
No, absolutely.
But they have only to look at them and say, piano, please. Because you have no time to rehearse.
Yeah, and singers take that, think on that, because that has to do with your preparation too. Because there is very little time. I mean, we can tell you, we had one stage orchestra 3 days ago. We have one stage orchestra the day after tomorrow. E basta, that's it. That's all we have. And then we have opening.
And the very important is that as you have only one of two rehearsal on the stage with the orchestra, don't think to make the show of the ear in that rehearsal. Sometimes take a look to the conductor or to the prompter, because we help you. So it's not very important that you do the best staging of the world, but you are not with the orchestra, because no one cares. The audience pay the ticket just to listen to you with the orchestra, making your staging. But if you exaggerate your movements because you think that you are the best actor or actress in the world, it should be not so easy for the conductor and for the orchestra to follow you.
Absolutely. The first stage rehearsal here, I literally wore my tennis shoes and very carefully walked, because we have a rotating stage, very carefully walked on and off of that rotating stage so that I could see the maestro. When can I see the maestro? When do I need to use a monitor? When am I looking to the left? When he needs me to be looking to the right? Those kinds of things. And, our staging here, as, some of you have seen it on DVD, it's difficult. It's difficult The set is constantly moving. You don't want to get whacked in the face with a wall. You have to know where you're going, at all times. So even though I've done the production 3 times, still the first orchestra rehearsal, I was very boring, and I got notes about it. and Andrea Somoki said, I feel like you were walking and then standing and singing in your aria. I was like, that's what I was doing. I was like, I'm glad you got it. But sometimes, especially when you only have 2 orchestra rehearsals, the first one, number 1, you have to sing. You really need to sing because the orchestra really needs to hear you. And you need to be able to work together with the orchestra and the maestro and all of those things with your staging. You need to be able to do that. So the first orchestra rehearsal, if you only get 2, sing and walk, but be a little boring. It's going to be okay. We'll be fine in another rehearsal, and then for the opening, you'll be great. But you need to make sure that you can see the maestro. You need to make sure that you can hear. We have this, big set. I'm sure some of you have seen it again with these very tall walls that block all of the sound from the wings. So if we have an orchestra monitor in the wings and the walls are there and the walls are turning, we hear nothing. I got out on stage for our first orchestra rehearsal for the arias. The first thing I sing is the Come in quest'ora bruna. The minute I opened my mouth, I couldn't hear anything else but my voice. Because I'm upstage in a corner, the doors are closed, and the orchestra is so far down. So the minute I went, Come in questo, all the other sound went away. And I recorded, because I record everything for my own learning purposes. I was so behind for about 2 phrases. And then I moved down stage and I was like, oh, I can hear better now. And then I got on. But you have to know that that's going to happen. Imagine if I did that, if I marked and then did it on opening night and then couldn't hear anything, then I'm behind on opening night. Nobody wants that. Well, Maestro, thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for giving us some time today to talk about Verdi and geek out about all the things.
And for you.
It's a huge pleasure to work with you, and I hope that we will work together in the future.
I hope so.
It's going to be a wonderful show. We are so looking forward to seeing everyone at Opernhaus Zürich. When do we open? The 27th.
Yeah.
The 27th. On Friday.
On Friday.
At 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And for those of you following along on social, of course, I'll have lots of content for you. I have lots of videos and things for you later in the week. But I'm so happy that everyone could meet you and hear about your love for Verdi and just geek out all together. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day in the United States and enjoy your dinner in Europe. And I will see you again for another live very, very soon. Bye, guys.